Georgia, the whole day
Hey guys, what is going on? We are out here on the back porch. I'm doing a little intro for you for a video that's a little bit different. It is, well, this video and the next video are going to be from the great Atlanta, Georgia. We went a little mobile. We went to go visit Marmy and Pappy. The first video was actually shot in May. And my dad shot it on his phone, but we didn't have a good way for him to get it to me without losing quality on the files and all that kind of stuff. So we were just there a couple weeks ago, and in being there I was able to get it onto my computer and make a video for it. So I'm shooting the intro for it, and just kind of telling you what he's doing. He's kind of doing a little garden tour, which is going to be very obvious. But this is, like I said, a two-part video. I'm not going to spoil the second part, but the first part I'll go ahead and spoil and tell you what's coming. It's a little garden tour, and I'm pretty much going to just let him take over from here. So everybody, this is Pappy. This is my dad. This is Brett.
Good morning, YouTube. In response to little Joshy throwing me under the bus up on Blackberry Ridge for not filming anything, I thought I would welcome you to Atlanta and give you a little bit of footage of what we're doing here in Atlanta so that you can know what kind of projects to expect when we get up on Blackberry Ridge. So hold on and I'll flip the camera. So this is our backyard currently in Atlanta. It's a beautiful place. It's hard to imagine the size of these trees and the beauty of Atlanta. We're not going to get that in Oklahoma. This is Marmy, or Marilyn, my wife's little French garden. She calls it her secret garden, but she plays French music. We put in all that flagstone ourselves and installed that fountain over there. And she calls it her little French garden, which means every time I get close to it, it makes me want to drop my guns and run. As we move from her little French garden, we go over to our outdoor fireplace and our koi pond. I'll give you a better look of that when we get down there. But that cross Josh built for us. And we built that pond. I rented a track hoe and we dug it, and I'll show you it and its waterfalls here in a second. And here's the pool that we completely had to refinish. And as we sweep across, we'll see parts of the greenhouse there and the gardens, and then the children's garden is right over here, and I'll take you there right now. That's Zeke. He's one of our Australian shepherds. This staircase we added on. It wasn't here, and I laid out that landing down there, and then while I was gone out of town, my wife built these stairs. So Marilyn is extraordinarily hands-on. You'll see her do a lot of stuff. We've built about 60-70 foot of cabinetry inside the house as well, so you'll see our wood shop in action when we get up on the ridge. I'll take you downstairs now. Here's a mid-level view of what Marilyn calls the fairy garden, also known as the Josh garden. But it's strictly for the little kids. It's got a swing you can see suspended right in the center over a dry creek that we fill full of water, and we have a couple water features in there. As we come down the steps, you'll see that we have our outdoor kitchen and dining area. Marilyn and I built that table as well as that table right there, and that's got a TV in it over the fireplace. and then it steps out into the pond where Josh's cross is at, and I'll show you that in just a second. So as we walk out here, none of this was here. Marilyn and I contracted all this work. We didn't self-perform the stone work, but we kind of did the design on all of it. And as we walk down to the first big koi pond, you can see we've got 3 waterfalls, 1 high one, and 2 coming out of bogs. And Marilyn and I built this entirely by ourselves, pulled all the electric, dug everything out, dug the bogs, and installed about 15 ton of stone. And there's Joshy's cross. Up above it, you can barely see it. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. But you can see some goats up on the hillside with a feeder. I'll try to walk over here and give you a little more of a view.
Oh, that's better. Thank you.
They're hidden in there. The vegetation's pretty high right now, but there's our goat farm. Those Kikos won't match Daniel Arms or Daniel Boone like I like to call him, but they eat a lot less. And here's the view back up into the pond area. Those are fire bowls, actually, on those columns. They have propane tanks inside those hollowed out columns, and you can light those up for parties. The gardens, I'll show you the pathway out to those. And there's Josh's garden, also known as the fairy garden. And we built that for the kids. And it's got a turtle and it's got a goose that spits water when I turn it all on. And there's the swing the kids jump on. And there's my wood pile. I don't think Outdoors with the Morgans is going to envy that a lot, but where I live, that's about all we're going to get. And then here's the greenhouse. Again, Arms family. This is a high tunnel here, Daniel. This is our little short high tunnel greenhouse. I thought we were going to grow vegetables in it. Instead, it's turned out to be, sorry about that light, but it's turned out to be just a pretty garden that Marilyn wanted. I even got to hang a chandelier in here and wire it all up. So this is her garden. And that steps down into our raised beds. Sorry about the light. But here's our raised beds, and our tomatoes are coming on. We've got a total of 7 raised beds. This is one with tomatoes, and that's got tomatoes. And we've got a few sets on there. You can see that there's some sets coming on. Then we got cucumbers. Okra down here. It's coming on. Asparagus, it's gone nuts. And this trellis that we're walking through right now, let me back up and let you see this. This is something Marilyn and I built probably 10 years ago. But we just built that so that we could put those roses over the top. And when those suckers are in full bloom all the way around this thing, it's beautiful. Brings tears to Josh's eyes. And then down this side of the garden, I'll give you a conceptual view here. This whole run right here is nothing but blueberries all the way down to the chickens. And here we have peppers in this plant aisle right here, and then we have yellow squash here, and they're setting blooms right now. Don't know if you can see them in there. They're getting big. Tomatoes again. Got a little bit of corn, which is really only feeds the deer when it starts setting the ears. And then we have tomatoes again. Lots of tomatoes. And this is blackberries. We've got our blackberries all coming. You can see we've got some nice ripe girls coming right now. Those are ready to eat. And then this was all strawberries around this urn. This was completely all strawberries, and they finally died out after 3 years of production. And I decided we're going to do watermelons and squash in here this year. So got lots of watermelons planted. Already got a lot of blooms on them, so they're setting and going. This was all broccoli. It's basically already been harvested. Needs to be pulled now and given to the chickens. So here's the view back up through the garden back to the greenhouse. And as we swing around here, uh-oh, look at the size of that snake. Josh, run, run. You don't want near that snake. Let's see if he'll bite me. Oh, got him. So we set out some decoys out in the garden, trying to keep some of the predators from eating all of our goodies. And here we have the raspberries. We're trying to train them over this little PVC trellis, but that's what Palmer and that's what Pippa both just love, especially Pippa. Pippa loves the raspberries, even though Palmer's the one that keeps calling everything Raspberry Ridge. So as we move up to the chicken house, you can see we've got tomatoes all along this side and raspberries down here. And we've got yellow neck squash over here on this side. And more tomatoes. And we got peas and beans over here, along with a lone tomato. And then our carrots from Bumblebee Junction gave us the recipe, and they're going like crazy. And we have potatoes in the ground over here. And here's our chicken house. And more potatoes in that tub. And all our blueberries back up down that row with all the hoops on it. And we got a big pile of blackberries sitting right here as well. Marilyn picked a bunch of the ripe ones earlier today. And here's the chickens. And there's a little banty rooster, kind of like little Joshy, singing away. He's talking. Focus, focus. Hard to see through that wire mesh. We had to use that real thin, narrow wire mesh because of the snakes and everything coming off that creek back there. Well, here's Copper Creek back behind the house. And that floods from time to time. And then we have our burn pile. Every farmer's got to have a burn pile. Got to contain it here in Atlanta, or the fire department will come get you. And this is my granddad's old buggy seed planter. And this has got to be 80 years old. And heavy, heavy, heavy. A little bit of a state of disrepair, but I can't wait to hook up the horses to that and let little Joshy ride that with his little cowboy hat on and his little 6 guns. He'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And there's Zeke guarding the grounds, and here's our little barn and our drawbridge. And here's Gabriel. Gabriel is the mean one of the 2 Australian shepherds. I shouldn't say mean, he's dominant. He's never met a hand he doesn't love. Isn't that right, girl?
Girl?
Yeah, you good girl.
Girl? Dad, they don't have the plumbing to be girls.
And here's the steps leading back up to the pool. These are stones we took off the hillside. Josh was here, but he couldn't carry them, so I had to do it all myself. But there's the back of the house. Marilyn's got her music all blaring. So that's the tour. I hope that replaces the video we didn't get of the crane building out the rest of the barn. But thank you for watching Blackberry Ridge, and we appreciate all your prayers, and may the Lord bless you, may he keep you, may he cause his face to shine upon you and give you rest. Until next time, we'll see you up on the ridge, or as little Palmer likes to say, Pom Pom the boss. We'll see you up on the raspberry. Bye.
All right, so that's it for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. A little teaser. Something bad happens to the garden.